Y'all probably can't see me. It's dark. I'm up early at work. I'm gonna keep the camera up on my face so you can't really see my shirt, so I won't be violating. Well, I hope you can hear me. Well, yeah, I'm just sitting here in my car doing my rounds, and I'm reading and taking in information, and I'm trying to replenish my mind. A lot of old things that I'm looking at, a lot of stuff I'm trying to just make sure the information stays there. And I started watching a video to take a break, and it was one of them videos where the guy, he sit in the middle and he let like 20 people come and debate him, and they get to run to the chair, and when they run to the chair, they get to debate him on the topic that he's talking about. And so at the end of this segment, he had let this black girl come up, and she had got the point of debate, and she spoke about affirmative action. And so during the debate, he made a statement about how black people have become worse off since the civil rights movement. That we were better off in the 40s and 50s, and since the civil rights movement, we've been on a decline, which is true. This is something that I was working on a long time ago, as a study, as a thesis, that the civil rights movement more overly was an act of rebellion. Okay? And I'm gonna talk about some of that Sunday, so I don't want to go too far. I've been sitting and meditating with God, trying to make sure the message is good for Sunday, trying to make sure that the teaching is good for Sunday, and this information started to unfold on me that the civil rights movement was an act of rebellion. And so this is partially why, more overly why, black people are in the position that they're in, because the Bible states that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So that would mean that we as black people, on a national scale, we actually participated in a sin that's as witchcraft. I want to call it, I want to go ahead on a state and say it is witchcraft, because if you look up witchcraft, one of the definitions for witchcraft is an enticable influence. And at the same time, you had about 7 other movements going on at the same time. And these movements that were going on around the civil rights movement, go look it up, they all had to do with something that was immoral. So what I'm trying to tell you is that those movements piggybacked off of the civil rights movement based on the fashion in which it was designed. It was designed as a rebellion. So it was as the sin of witchcraft. So these different groups were able to piggyback off of it and usher evil into the world. Let me explain. You had the counterculture movement, which was against everything that this moral country was about. Okay? They also, the counterculture movement brought in the LGBTQ, and they brought in the drugs, when they had the big Woodstock thing back in the day. Another point that I want to make, if you look up all of the movements, civil rights movement included, the counterculture, feminist movement, all these different movements, if you look at them, there were deaths in all of them. So it was sacrifice in all of them. Now with the feminist movement actually took the witches' symbol to be their symbol. So what I'm trying to tell you is, in the 60s, in the 1960s, this nation went into a state of rebellion. Everybody went into a state of rebellion. So much so that we didn't even know we was doing it. We thought we was doing good. That's going to come out in the teaching on Sunday too, about when people thought you're doing good in your act of rebellion. But it wasn't. It actually was rejecting God. And now we was already in trouble with God because we rejected God in the past, where we went in slavery. Okay, it's in the Bible. Okay, and so at this point, when we was getting to a point where we can cleanse ourselves, these people caught us while we were sleeping and put us in this act of rebellion as a whole. And now our generation, see, I'm a part of the generations that's reaping. See what I'm saying? Because that's what the scriptures say, that, you know, the generations can reap the sin for up to 4 generations. Are you following me? So if you think about it, the 1960s was like 50 to 60 years ago. So we are the generations reaping, okay? We reaping from the civil rights movement. Again, like I said, this was on my mind because I'm up working, and I'm trying to get into my word so I can be ready for Sunday. And I was brought to this video where they began to talk about affirmative action, and the guy made the statement that black people are worse off than they were in the 40s and 50s. And we got all this new age technology, you know, everybody blowing up, LLC here, LLC here, you know what I'm saying? But we're still worse off, okay, as a nation than we were. That's because we fell under subjection to witchcraft. People ain't gonna want to hear that. People gonna think I'm crazy. You know, people already think you're crazy when you're serving God. But the Bible states that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And any time that you do a protest, anytime that there's a protest, that's a rebellion. Look it up. Look it up. Go ask the question, was the civil rights movement a rebellion? It's going to tell you, yeah. Was the feminist movement a rebellion? It's going to tell you, yeah. Was the counterculture movement a rebellion? It's going to tell you, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is, right now we still up under this. We still up under this magic. We still up under this sorcery. We still subjected to it as a nation. This is why, as a whole, the black nation continues to decline. We're gonna have to separate, you know, by ourselves right now, because, you know, the nation ain't gonna listen to one person. We lost Martin Luther King, and there was never a Martin Luther King to come behind him. All we got now is rappers and other artists and stuff like that. But we have to pay attention. These are the same people who brought us into bondage. The actors, the writers, all these like Belafonte and all these different people, Portier and all these different people. Martin Luther King, them, you know, truth be told, they were doing what they were supposed to do. You know, if they went to college, got into these fraternities and sororities, they wasn't for Jesus Christ. See, we just didn't understand it, you know. But now the all of the information that wasn't there for us is there for us now, y'all. Okay. Now let me make another statement. When you go into a state of rebellion, after the state of rebellion, there's have to be some type of war. Y'all listen to me. I've been looking at this hard tonight. There got to be some kind of war. In the 1960s is where they began the phrase war on X, meaning war on whatever, whether it was war on poverty, war on crime. They started with war on poverty, they went to war on crime, and then it spilled over into the war on drugs. See, but I'm trying to show you that this comes from the state of rebellion that the nation is in. A state of protest is a state of rebellion. And rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Amen? And so we need to understand that that's why in the years after, we just decline as a nation. Up until now. Everything that was once moral and good about this country is declining, and it's declining very rapidly. This is since the 60s. If you pay attention, it's since the 60s. Tulsa, Oklahoma was done in the 20s, okay? 1921. I'm telling you, this thing was long thought out, and they was getting it ready. Book Washington. I'm gonna have to get ready to go. I ain't gonna stay too long. Book Washington was actually their prototype. He was their guy, you know. He was the one who was coming in and, you know, infiltrating our communities, telling us how we should be, telling us to get better, okay? And it worked with Tulsa, Oklahoma. It worked. And so they build up this Black Wall Street, okay? And Book Washington ran back and told the higher ups, hey, this is what they did. They was able to build. Boop, 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 boop. All right, 1921, they come in, they tore that down. They killed a lot of people, massacred a lot of people. They already had their plan on what they was going to do. They saw that we could pick ourselves up by our own bootstraps. So what they wanted to do was put the rest of the country in fear to not do that again, because they had a plan that was coming up, okay? What they plan was, they was finna get ready to put the whole nation under this subjugation of poverty, okay? So what happened was, 7-8 years later, you got the New Deal come in because of the Great Depression. See, ain't that something? That they went and tore down Black Wall Street, and then White Wall Street ended up going some 7-8 years later. So you got to understand, it was already a plan. It was already a plan. They went and took that Black Wall Street down because they knew White Wall Street was finna take a hit. And what they was going to do, come up with the New Deal. The New Deal had to do with the Social Security Administration. See? So they had to chop us down. They had to chop us down so that they can get us involved with this right here. Because it's, Social Security Administration, that's that new age slavery. So they had to chop us on down. So now that we ain't got no Wall Street no more, and they Wall Street then took a hit, the Great Depression, they come with this New Deal, the Social Security Administration, and then Social Security Administration, it excluded like migrant work and farm work and stuff like that. That was the stuff that black people knew how to do. So what they were doing, they were putting us in a system to where we'd have to compete for the jobs again. Now white folks mad at us again. See, go look at the history. That's when the Klan got very prevalent, because them jobs is in trouble again. See, they used to be the first slave. After Bacon Rebellion, 1691, they got their term white. Okay, after Bacon's Rebellion, they got their term white. That's when they got their power. That's when they got their supremacy. After that, they moved on. White people was taken out of indenture, and it was just a black thing. Are you following me? But see, white people still hated us because we had the only job that they had. Okay, so now they were known as scallywags, mutt seals, and things of that nature. That's where we get the Beverly Hillbillies from. See, white folks that came out of slavery was just poor. Do you see what I'm saying? So after this, they see we still got the job. We still get to live on the plantation. We get mistreated, but we still in a place of having steady work. Are you following me? So then they start to get the industrial complex. As the industrial complex start to begin, that's when they finna get ready to free the slave. I'm telling y'all, this thing was thought out a long time ago. They kept us fighting with one another over the jobs, just like they still do today. And so they went, when they saw the black people, when Book Washington told them that the black people can pull themselves up, Book Washington, when they snitched on us, they came and tore up Tulsa, Oklahoma. 7-8 years later, now they Wall Street took a hit. It was a plan so they can get everybody back under slavery, under the Social Security Administration. Okay? This is what this is about. White people opposed that in the beginning. Go look it up. White people opposed the Social Security Administration. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We just still trying to make it. You see? And while we sleeping, they making these new laws. Okay? So by the time the 50s come, 50s and 60s, now they got all these educated people they trying to push up on us, like Martin Luther King and them, putting us in these movements, changing our mind from a state of satisfaction to a state of want. Man, y'all, I'm telling y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. But I ain't gonna stay too long. I just felt like I needed to say this because like I said, I'm gonna be teaching a lesson on Sunday. And it's going to come up a little bit, but I ain't going to be able to stay on this too long. But all of the movements that followed the civil rights movement were evil in nature. or they were immoral in nature. You know, like I said, you had the counterculture movement that was against everything good. They want, like I said, they wanted homosexuality. They wanted to be able to do drugs in public. You remember Woodstock? You remember all this stuff? This for my grown folk. This ain't for no young folk who don't know nothing. You know, this for the grown folk who wondering what's going on. We still reaping. We still reaping from the civil rights movement. That's why they still put it on TV. That's why every other year, especially around election time, you'll get a good civil rights movement. You'll get still get a good civil rights movement. They still taking us back to the old school civil rights movement because that's what a magic is. That's what a sorcery is. That's what a rebellion lies. We ain't had a good rebellion since then. And we don't really need one because rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. But listen at what I'm telling you. The 60s was the last era for true rebellion. All those movements were made. And then the civil rights movement, it predecessed itself after nonviolence. And then once it started to get a little success, then the Black Power came in and took over. Black Power, it wasn't about nonviolence. Black Power was about any means necessary. See, so it was changing us into from being, like I said, a sanctified, satisfied people that's saying we shall overcome, to a people that was ready to go to war. Like I told you, where you see rebellion, war is gonna follow. That's why the 1960s presidents was all about war on X. Like I said, war on poverty, war on crime. Then you got the war on drugs. We did it to ourselves. We were the first. We were the first. They said the first gonna be last and the last shall be first. But we was the first to start it in that era. Okay? Everything else piggybacked off of the civil rights movement because that act of rebellion was as the sin of witchcraft. So we opened up the door to a lot of pollution. Oh man, it was a lot going on in that day. I forgot the name of this thing, but it was a real magazine about witchcraft going around in that day. I forgot the name. It was something egg. I'll look it up one day and probably show you one day. But like I said, this was on my mind. We're still reaping from the 60s. We're still reaping from the 60s. This is why the generations of black people since the 60s are in the condition that we in. Okay? Only thing we can do is repent, come out from America mentally, and try to change our ways, because they got us in a system of control to where we agree with everything they do. Let me tell you why. Because there's a certain thing called integration with evil. Okay, and when you integrate with evil, that means you condone what evil do. Okay, so when you integrate with evil, you unknowingly condone what evil do. Okay, now think about integration as a whole for the black folks in that day. We integrated with a bunch of evil folks. We integrated with the people while they were doing the evil to us. We condone this evil. We said we want to be like this evil. We don't want to be separate no more. We want to be equal, all the way, integrated, equal. We want to be just like them folks. That's what we said. And we forgot that these was a killing people. These was a murdering people. Do you see what I'm saying? And we continue to say, we want to be like them. We want to be like them. And we got in bed with them so long that now we're just like them. That's how your brothers begin to kill up each other with the color flags. We integrated with white folks. We integrated with evil. Now, I ain't gonna just sit here and say white folks is the face of evil today. But that's just what evil does. Evil is always gonna fool you. It's gonna trick you that evil is good and good is evil. This is a part of the plan. Okay? I just gave you a little history, but that's a part of the plan. The plan is to make evil look good and good look evil. So all the while we opened up the door with the rebellion from the civil rights movement, opening up ourselves to a sin that's just like witchcraft, which is witchcraft, because like I said, it's an irresistible influence. Everybody got involved with it. Even now when they play it on TV, you can't help but get involved with it. It's still an irresistible influence. It's still witchcraft. Go look it up. Run to your dictionary and look it up. Before you tell me I'm wrong, go look it up. We ain't talking about this is what we need to talk about. We need to be talking about spirit. We need to stop talking about the physical. We need to stop talking about what we're going to eat. We need to start talking about how we're going to fast. Time going to come where we ain't going to be able to eat. Some days I get hungry, y'all. And it hurts so bad that I think to myself, I said, oh, Lord, it's going to really... And I got food to eat. It's just that hunger that hit you, that tell you hungry. You be like, man, it hurts so bad. And then I think about homeless folk who can't eat. And I say, oh, man. That's why I do my best when I can to feed folk, because hunger ain't no joke. Hunger hurt. Sometimes it hurts so bad, man, I'd rather get shot in my foot or something than to be hungry. It's going to come a time where we ain't going to be able to eat, y'all. It's going to come a time where we're going to have to fast. The bridegroom said it. He said, eat now while the bridegroom is with you. Because in the days where the bridegroom gone, them the days you're going to have to fast, baby. I'm just telling you now, you know, like I said, I'm woke. So I had something on my mind. We walked right into it. And now the generations, all the generations since the 60s, we reaping all of what we supposed to get from that sin. It's a recompense. And the recompense is always meat. Recompense is good. You know, if my father sinned before I got here, ain't nothing I can do about it but try to break the curse. Ain't nothing I can do about it but try to break the chain. But I'm still up under the principality of reaping from my father. Just like when Adam and Eve sinned, they was told that the sin was going to bring death, but the death didn't show up till Cain and Abel got there. See, the death didn't show up till the next generation had come. So this is what's going on with us. They turned us into a marching people. Marching. See, it was rebellion, y'all. I'm telling y'all, please pay attention to me. It was rebellion. They was teaching us how to set ourselves up for war. You see what I'm saying? And then they went to war on us. They started with poverty. When they went to war on poverty, it meant war on black folk. When they went to war on crime, it meant war on black folk. When they went to war on drug, war on black folk. They went to war on us. And we brought it on ourselves because we integrated ourselves in a house with evil. Oh, man, I'm going to have to get off this thing. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to keep repeating myself. But that's how you learn, with the repetition, okay? I don't want to keep repeating myself. But like I said, there was about 7 other movements going on in the 60s. Most of these movements had nothing to do with nothing good. The civil rights movement was the only movement that looked at face value like it was something good. All of the other movements actually told you what they were about. Counterculture. The culture of that day was that we was a good and moral standing country. Okay? Like I said, you had the lesbian and gay. Because they say LGBTQ now, but that ain't what they were calling it back then. Then you had the people who wanted to have the freedom to explore them drugs. And then you had all these other people who was getting their rights, as like you had the indigenous AIM. See, that's what we supposed to have been a part of. But they killed King. They killed King May 1968. AIM picked up its juice around July. The indigenous people started to get their rights around July. So something that Martin Luther King would have been a part of and probably would have pulled us, the indigenous black people, and got us involved. They didn't start doing that until after they killed him. This is how the joker worked. I'm telling you, this is how it worked. Got us to go in under the term black for civil rights. Something that already should be rendered. And then you got these other folks, predominantly white. I'm telling you, the counterculture, go look them up. They were predominantly white. People who started the feminist movement, predominantly white. Then they moved them black women in there. And like I said, go look up the feminist movement. They still have the symbol of the witch. So all of these other movements, all of these other rebellions was evil. But the civil rights movement was a rebellion too, y'all. All right, I love y'all. Well, I'm trying to give y'all some information because the day coming. The day coming. It's getting so close. It's getting so close. I got little kids and it's getting close. It's getting close. I know it's getting close. I want to get old and not see that day, but it's getting so close. They're getting angrier and angrier. How you got a people got what they want on paper and they still want more? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Got what they want on paper and they still want more. They want the kids. They want to be able to make them new all the time. All the time. I'm telling you, the Bible said that the queen of the sky was going to be giving birth, and that the serpent, the dragon, was going to be waiting for her to give birth. Going to be waiting for her to give birth. Every time God trying to put a new Christian out here, the devil trying to eat them up, trying to devour them. But I'm going to let y'all go, man. Like I said, I just was thinking about what's going on with us and how we got here, and I know we still reaping the generational curses of the civil rights movement. That's what a pain at. That's what a pain at. Now we know what the problem is. We can try to undo it. We can try to undo it. We can denounce certain things. We can denounce. It's power in using your mouth to denounce certain things. I hope y'all hear me, man. Them people wasn't no good. Civil rights people were no good. It was a selfish people. They was a people that went through hazing. Man, I did a video on this, man. I ain't trying to get you to go look at my stuff on YouTube, but I did a video on this, man. You know, called "He That Hated His Brother." I did a video on this. I got a couple videos, but check this out. When you go in those little, let me see what time it is. I got to get ready to go. When you go in those fraternities and sororities, they take you through a hazing process, okay? And you actually go through this hazing process to basically get to the other side, to get what you want. If you go back and look up visual pictures of the sit-ins when the people was trying to sit in at the counter with the white folk, you can see how they were letting these folk pour milkshakes and coffee and all type of stuff on them, just sitting there, you know, getting hazed to get their results. See, these people of the civil rights movement, they were sorors and fraternity brothers, and they wanted us to undergo a hazing. See, they was all down with that rebellious witchcraft. Because if I'm going to hell, I want you to go to hell too. That person who just came on here, I'm finna get ready to go. But I got some good stuff been said up in here. Some good stuff been said up in here. Y'all go back and look at it. Y'all go back and look at it. Like I said, a revelation been given that the civil rights movement is the rebellion that's got us in trouble right now. Because the Bible says in 1 Samuel 15:23, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And so we walked ourselves right into it. And that's why our young men is murderers, killers, thieves, and liars. This is why. This is why. They opted out for it. They said, we want to stop being good. We want to stop being hat-wearing, suit coat wearing, long sleeve in the summertime wearing people. Amen. And we want to go be like them folk right there. We want to integrate with them. We want to learn how to be like them. And now that they even contemplate giving us some rights, we're going to turn just like them. We're going to turn militant. See, at first we were nice. We shall overcome. That was in 64 and 65. By 66, see that 1966, see? That's 666, inverted nines, inverted sixes, however you want to put it. Around the year of 1966, That's when the movement started to take a turn on its axis, and we went to Black Power, which was a little bit more militant. Now we're just like them, ready to fight for our rights. We ain't just gonna march and sing no more. See, we integrated with evil. That means we condone evil and said that evil was okay. And then it changed us. Good morning.